How you doing there, folks? Baiters here with another Top 10. This week, we're gonna look at the best weapons in Fallout 76 so far. If some mutated booger comes barreling out of the bushes at you, then you're gonna need to protect yourself. That or those goblins are gonna nibble on your giblets. Now, these weapons were chosen for their awesome animations, their damage per second, and most importantly, how scary they make me look while wearing a leotard. Now go ahead and pretend you're a panda bear that likes to party, and let's get to average baiting, baby! At number 10, we've got the Cultist Blade. Have you ever wanted to dance around like a lost boy with a homemade sword while you dry hump a phone booth? No? Just me then, huh? Weird. My therapist might have been right. Well, have you ever wanted a sweet-looking sword in Fallout 76 to vanquish your foes? Yeah? Well, hold on to your titties because you're in for a treat. Now, the Cultist sword is like a sword that's made out of rock and bone, and it's got this whole post-apocalyptic cannibal vibe just bursting from the seams. Now, it doesn't have the greatest damage per second, but it makes up for that with a cosmetically orgasmic design that makes my balls swell up. Now, the Cultist Blade is an improvised weapon made from an antler piece combined with a piece of metal crudely formed into a serrated blade. Now, it's not Miracle Blade sharp or anything, but I'm sure if you threw a pineapple up in the air and hit it with this sword, it would f*** up that pineapple for sure. Okay? The Cultist Blade is a decent weapon with enough damage early on. However, you'll have to be at least level 10 before you can start using it. Now, it doesn't have a lot in terms of modification, which serves to hinder its performance compared to other melee weapons at high levels. So at high levels, you'll have to ask yourself, what's more important, a sweet-looking sword or not being eaten by a goblin? I think the answer is obvious. The sword. Now, if you want to acquire this weapon to flail around while a gang of post-apocalyptic 10-year-olds look to you for leadership, then you can find possibly 2 on a podium at the end of the Lucky Hole Mine. Now, if you don't see any, don't fret. Higher level Scorched will sometimes drop these bad boys on their corpses as well. So after you kill some of these dead Scorched, really get in there and manhandle their dead bodies. And if you're lucky, you'll be one girthy sword richer. I rate this weapon 1 of whatever the f*** this thing is. It looks like a pig an ugly watermelon. Yeah, what is that? At number 9, we've got the Black Powder Pistol. Now, this is a beefy looking pistol. Just look at all the beef here, folks. Grab some f***ing mayonnaise because this is the beef sandwich of pistols. It's okay. Half the time, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about either, but this pistol does look really cool and powerful. The Black Powder Pistol is definitely one of the most powerful pistols in the game. However, it's not the quickest to reload, and it only shoots 1 bullet at a time. Now, the Black Powder Pistol is a percussion cap muzzleloader that makes use of 50 caliber balls as ammunition. Just so you guys are aware, those are some big f***ing balls. Now, the Black Powder Pistol has a unique reloading animation as well that involves the player character using a ramrod to push a lead ball down the pistol's barrel, which for whatever reason makes my panties wet every time I see it. Is that normal? Probably not. Am I wearing ladies' underwear? Most definitely. Now, there isn't a lot in terms of modifications for this weapon, but that's alright because this weapon is still very effective late game as it's got a lot of stopping power and a good damage per second. Now, if you want to shoot enemies in the chest with this weapon, then you can find it all over the place. 4 of them can be found in the museum at the Philippi Battlefield Cemetery inside various display cases. The Black Powder Pistol can also be obtained through Vertibot airdrops and randomly dropped off the Scorched. There's also a chance to find some northwest of Helvetia. The plans for this weapon can also be purchased from the Black Powder vendor in the White Springs Resort, just in case you want to craft your very own. Legendary versions obviously can be found throughout the world. They can be gifted from completing events or on the corpses of legendary enemies, so be on the lookout for those bad boys throughout the world space. I rate this weapon 1 kid who might be dumber than shit. God Sarah, how many times I gotta tell ya, get out of the gator's mouth! At number 8, we've got the Gatling gun. This here is an American Civil War era Gatling gun with all the amenities that'll f*** up your enemies so bad that even Coffee from the Green Mile won't be able to suck them back to life, will he? No, he will not. Now, this Gatling gun has been retrofitted with an electronic trigger similar to the Broadsider, but retains its distinctive crank feed firing system, which kind of reminds me of a Jack-in-the-Box, but instead of a questionable child terrifying clown doll popping out and making me myself, at the end of this crank, pop goes whatever the you're aiming at, which is nice. Now, this weapon has got all the goodies a grown girl needs as well, with a nice selection of modifications to fluff its whole situation. It's got 2 receivers, 2 barrels, 2 grips, 2 magazines, 2 sights, and wouldn't you know it, it's also got 2 muzzles. Now, if you want to acquire this antique killing machine, you can get a short version of it after finishing the quest line, Defiance Has Fallen. A plan for this weapon can also be found at the Wadigo Shopping Plaza. It can also be found as random loot on mid-tier enemies, weapon containers, and government aid drops. It is important to note that the sight on this bad boy is useless at the time of making this video. It doesn't visually align with the aiming point while firing from the hip or aiming down the sights, which is dumber than a person shitting on their own face. Now, it has a relatively slow firing rate, but it makes up for it in stopping power, giving it a great damage per second. I rate this weapon 1 monkey who was just told he's got 2 days to pack up his and get the out of the zoo. I don't understand. Was it something I did? And number 7, we've got the Tesla rifle. I once asked a mall Santa for an awesome new powerful energy weapon in Fallout 76. And you know what I got for Christmas that year instead? A restraining order. Because it was the middle of July and apparently that guy wasn't a mall Santa. Which begs the question, whose reindeer did I kiss on the mouth then? Huh? Whose? What a mystery. This weapon was the Christmas present I never received. It's just so much fun in a small package. Now, the Tesla rifle fires arcing electricity that can jump from the initial target to other targets nearby. The aiming radius is wider than other rifles, more like a shotgun, which makes it good against swarms and bugs, both of which can be difficult to kill with other weapons because they bounce around all nimbly-bimbly like a bunch of dirty squirrels. Thank you, strange man dressed like Santa. It's not the weapon we deserved, but the one we needed. It's got itself a few customization options as well to spice things up, including 3 barrel types and 2 sights. Doesn't seem like much, but considering some weapons don't have any mods at all in Fallout 76, 5 modifications is like a f***ing orgy of mods. Now, in order to get your man mittens on this beautiful energy emitter, you can find it randomly as it drops on high-level enemies. That's right, the only way I know to get this weapon is to pry it out of the cold dead hands of some angry high-level slapper. Now, it has a decent damage per second, and it looks cooler than smoking in junior high. So it's basically win-win-win. Win. I rate this weapon 1 zebra who doesn't like people getting too close to his fence. Back the f*** away from my fence, bitch! At number 6, we've got the light machine gun. Now, there comes a time in every little girl's life when she finds a light machine gun just lying in the dirt and f***s up some little bitches in Appalachia. And you know what, boys and girls? Today is that time. Now, the light machine gun is a fully automatic 308 machine gun with a rapid rate of fire and an ammo capacity of 75 rounds per drum. It doesn't have the highest damage per second on this list, but it makes up for its lack of stopping power with its intimidating design. Honestly, you would think just pulling this thing out of a 4th grader's backpack would be enough to make most post-apocalyptic mutants give up their nefarious ways and try to make it as a really ugly tour guide or some shit. Now, the light machine gun looks very much like the MG42, which is the real-world variant it is based off of, and it's just oodles of fun to use in the game. However, do remember to bring lots and lots of ammo, as this bad boy has a high rate of fire, and it goes through ammo like it's cocaine at Miley Cyrus's birthday party. Yeah. Now, if you want to get your very own light machine gun in Fallout 76, then you're in luck, because one can be found on an enemy at an unmarked location in the north of the mire. On the map, it is at the top of a sunflower. Now, the plans for the light machine gun can also be purchased from the Grafton Station, Welch Station, and Lewisburg Station under the name MG42, which is awesome if you want to craft your very own. I rate this weapon 1 lizard who gives 0 f***s.
You f*** with the wrong lizard, pussycat!
At number 5, we've got the GAUSS rifle. Now, I've always felt like big, powerful energy weapons say a lot about a person. Like they say, hey, look at me. I've got a big, powerful energy weapon, you know? Now, the GAUSS rifle is a rifle designed by the Enclave, and it's the type of energy weapon that gives you a reputation in the post-apocalypse. Put it this way, if you set this rifle down next to your ear collection and your Michael Bolton CDs, then any trespassing skank is gonna know that they wandered into the wrong cardboard house. That's all I'm saying. Now, this weapon has great damage per second and is one of the most powerful energy weapons in the game. It doesn't have a lot in terms of modifications, but it doesn't really need to improve as it's already at the top of the food chain. Now, if you want your very own GAUSS rifle in Fallout 76, then you can buy it at the White Springs Bunker if you are already part of the Enclave. It's sold in the Military Wing Command Center. You may also be able to buy one off the vendor bot in the Wadaga Station. Now, the projectile that's fired from this rifle is wider than other ballistic bullets and will not be able to pass through some small railings and other small spaces. So just remember that when you're shooting at a cowardly ghoul f***ing himself in the crawl space of some abandoned building. Charging the GAUSS rifle also makes it more powerful, but slowers its firing rate, which is a bit of a trade-off, but worth it considering the ammo it takes is rare and hard to come by. Now, the GAUSS rifle takes its damage perks from the non-automatic rifle set, but its ammunition counts as an energy weapon and uses batteries included for weight reduction, which gives this energy weapon some really unique characteristics in the game. I rate this weapon one haircut that just screams, "I don't have my shit together." Have you seen my baby? I seem to have misplaced my baby. At number 4, we've got the single action revolver. Now, if I were a mad scientist, I would carry around a revolver just like this one, and every time I did something crazy and someone looked at me and said, "Have you completely lost your mind?" I would pull this revolver out of my skinny jeans, lick the trigger while maintaining eye contact, and then just whisper, "No, I've got my shit together." Then I would shoot them in the f***ing face, laughing while I do it. Memo to self, become a mad scientist. The single-action revolver is a revolver that uses .44 rounds. The cylinder is loaded one round at a time and can be interrupted during the reload. The cylinder is also manually turned before loading each new round. It has a high damage but a low rate of fire and good accuracy. This is by far one of my favorite weapons in Fallout 76, mainly because of the animation and design. The animation is perfect and suits the weapon to a T. The revolver itself has this Wild West feel to it that just constantly reminds me of Fallout New Vegas. This weapon doesn't have the highest damage per second amongst the pistols in Fallout 76, however the nostalgic feel it gives me in my ball bag when I'm using it is what secured its place on this list. Does that make me biased? Most definitely it does. But it's still a super cool f***ing weapon. Now, this revolver has a couple modifications, including one receiver, one barrel, and 2 grips, which again is better than nothing, but it would be nice to see more modifications for this weapon in the future to really make it more viable late game. This weapon can be found in Stash M3 in Morgantown once the door is unlocked during Back on the Beat. It can also be found in US government supply crates and on the dead bodies of high-level enemies. I rate this weapon one fancy inflatable pool that attracts the wrong kind of attention. Hey Dorothy, I think there's a bear in the jacuzzi again. God damn it. At number 3, we've got the 50 cal. This here is a big boy gun for when you've got yourself some big boy problems. Now, we're not talking about losing your blue crayon so you can't finish coloring Elsa's hair kind of problems. No. We're talking about being surrounded by 8 to 10 super mutants with violent molestation in their eyes kind of problems. But you can relax, knowing that this will mow down those workplace inappropriate super mutants easier than taking candy from a baby. A tiny, defenseless, candy-covered baby. Now, the 50 cal machine gun is a belt-fed, automatic, heavy weapon chambered in 50 caliber rounds. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the gun Rambo used to cut a f***ing boat in half. So suffice it to say, it doesn't like boats. Now, to be able to use this weapon, though, you will have to be at least level 25 or higher, as it doesn't come in any lower level variants. Now, there are a couple mods for this weapon, including 1 receiver and 2 barrels. Now, if you want to acquire this weapon, one can usually be found near Hemlock Holes, south of the White Warehouse, near a downed vertibird in the back of a destroyed truck. One may also appear in a destroyed truck on the road south of Clarksburg. There may also be one by abandoned Bogtown in the back of a truck on the main road in town. This weapon also drops randomly from high-level Scorch Beasts and other legendary enemies. This weapon can also be purchased at times from the Raider vendor bots in Pleasant Valley Station, Sutton Station, and Welch Station. Now, the plans for this weapon can also be located at those vendors, as well as it can be located at the Wadaga Shopping Plaza vendor. I rate this weapon one penguin telling a sea lion to go f*** itself. F*** you, sea lion! F*** you!
What's happening right now? You know I can eat you, right?
And at number 2, we've got the All Rise. Now, every weapon has a story to tell, and I bet if you listened close enough to the All Rise, it would tell you the story of a cross-eyed orphan boy named Eddie, who made friends with a lampshade he later called Copernicus. That, or it would tell you the story of a really big f***ing hammer and how people shit their pants just at the sight of it. I think it's probably that story, actually. Probably that one. The All Rise is the only unique weapon on this list, mainly because the legendary effects are fixed for unique weapons, and more often than not, you'll be able to find a better legendary variant of a specific weapon than the unique variants for it. However, this unique variant has its own look, making it the biggest, girthiest sledgehammer around, so definitely worth a find. This is a slow-swinging, panty-dropping, hard-hitting weapon, for sure. However, it has a legendary effect on it already that reduces the weight by 90%, so it's lighter than a handful of semen. It's got great damage per second even though it's bigger than which makes it a great weapon even late game. Now, if you want to acquire this weapon, all you'll have to do is complete the quest Mayor for a Day in the Wadaga area, as this is the reward for accomplishing that quest. I rate this weapon 1 monkey dancing naked in a meadow.
Go, Babu! You're drunk!
At number 1, we've got the dragon. Now, this weapon has creepy Christmas present written all over it. What is it, you ask? Well, that right there is the dragon. And yes, it can blow the face off a magical dragon named Falcor. That's right, it's got the kind of stomping power that can physically harm imaginary shit. So f***ing enjoy that, Grandma! Enjoy that shit! Grandma, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. I was just trying to look cool in front of my friends. Go back to sleep. Shh, go back to sleep. Now, the dragon has a good base damage per second, as it's similar in strength to the conventional black powder rifle, which is beefy in its own right. But the dragon's got 3 extra big old barrels. That's right, 4 barrels in total. Now, I'm no mathologist, but more barrels probably means more violence. Now, there are no modifications for this weapon, but it makes up for the lack of modifications with the fact that it has 4 f***ing barrels, all containing a little taste of pure terror. Put it this way, if this was a children's cereal, its box would just be a picture of a scared child crying over a bowl of Cocoa Puffs, with the dragon cereal just barely visible in the background, watching vindictively. Needless to say, this is one scary f***ing gun. Now, there are a number of places to find the dragon in the game. For instance, you can possibly buy this weapon off Graham, the super mutant vendor that just bounces around the map all willy-nilly, or there is a random drop at the Moudsville Penitentiary and the Ash Heap that sometimes has one. Occasionally, the dragon can be sold by the vendor bots in Harper's Ferry or Wadaga Station. The dragon can also sometimes be found inside the Thunder Mountain Power Plant, or dropped off the final boss in the Wendigo Cave, or found inside the Uncanny Caverns. There is also a chance to get the dragon off of David Thorpe during the Key to the Past questline, or as a reward from a treasure map cache. Either way, there is a lot of places you can get your hands on one of these bad boys in the game, and sometimes high-level enemies will also drop it. However, it's good to note that this isn't actually a unique weapon, and there are legendary versions that can be found throughout the world as well. However, they are more rare and are usually found on legendary enemies. So keep your eyeballs open wider than shit, and you might get lucky. I rate this weapon 1 horse showing off its gigantic sucking lips. Good golly. Thanks again for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to slap that subscribe button like it's 3 weeks behind on your rent. Where's the money? Where's the money? Where is it? Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon too, because apparently YouTube thought there should be extra steps. Why not, right?
I'd like to subscribe, but first I have to click this and this and do this. Oh, it needs an email. All right, and this. Okay. Just tell me when he's uploading.
Once you do all that, if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a tiny little Averagebaters fairy might come and tickle your butthole. Now, I hope to see you all again next time, and remember to keep on average baiting, baby.